As the night settled over the campground, the air grew colder and the trees rustled in the wind. The group of campers huddled around the fire, seeking warmth and comfort. They laughed and chatted, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. But as the night grew darker, the mood began to change. A chill ran down their spines as they heard a faint whispering in the woods. They turned to each other, wondering if they were imagining things. Suddenly, the whispering grew louder, and they realized it wasn't their imagination. It was a voice, a ghostly voice that seemed to come from all around them. The campers froze, unsure of what to do. But then the voice spoke again, and they could make out the words.
Beware. Beware of the woods, for there are dark things lurking within.
The campers exchanged nervous glances, unsure of what to make of the warning. But then they heard a rustling in the trees, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, or at least it appeared to be. But something was off about her. Her skin was pale and her eyes were empty. She wore a tattered dress, and her hair hung in ragged tangles around her face. The campers tried to ignore her, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. They could sense an aura of malevolence emanating from her. Suddenly, she spoke again, and this time her voice was more urgent.
You must leave this place. There is no safety here. The darkness is coming, and it will consume us all.
The campers were paralyzed with fear, unsure of what to do. But then they heard a sound from the woods. A sound like footsteps, heavy and slow. They could hear twigs snapping and leaves crunching underfoot. The woman turned and looked into the darkness, and the campers followed her gaze. There, emerging from the shadows, was a figure unlike any they had ever seen. It was tall, impossibly tall, and covered in fur. Its eyes glowed in the darkness, and its teeth were sharp and pointed. It was like something out of a nightmare. The campers scrambled to their feet, grabbing their things and trying to flee. But the creature was too fast, and it lunged at them with lightning speed. They ran through the woods, their hearts pounding in their chests. They could hear the creature's footsteps behind them, getting closer and closer. Finally, they broke through the tree lane and stumbled out into a clearing. There, in the center of the clearing, was an old cabin. Without thinking, they rushed inside and slammed the door shut behind them. They could hear the creature snarling outside, scratching at the door with its sharp claws. The campers huddled together in the dark, waiting for the creature to break through the door. But then they heard something else. Something even more terrifying. A low growling, coming from somewhere within the cabin. They looked around, trying to find the source of the sound. And then they saw it. In the corner of the room, there was a dog. A massive, black dog with eyes like coals and teeth like knives. The dog growled again, and the campers realized that it wasn't a dog at all. It was something far more sinister. It was a demon, summoned from the depths of hell to haunt this cursed place. The campers huddled together, praying for morning to come. But the night seemed endless, and the horrors just kept coming. They could hear the creature outside, scratching and snarling. They could hear the ghostly voice whispering warnings in their ears. And they could feel the demon's malevolent presence lurking in the shadows. Hours passed, and the campers were on the brink of exhaustion. They had no idea how much longer they could hold out. But then, just as the night seemed darkest, a ray of light broke through the darkness. The sun began to rise, casting a warm glow over the clearing. The campers breathed a collective sigh of relief, and they ventured outside to see what had become of the creature and the ghostly woman. To their surprise, there was nothing there. The creature was gone, and the woman had vanished into thin air. It was as if they had never been there at all. The campers looked at each other, unsure of what to make of it all. Had they really just experienced a nightmare, or had it been something more? As they packed up their belongings and left the clearing, they knew that they would never forget this night. They would never forget the warning that had been whispered in their ears, or the feeling of terror that had gripped their hearts. For they had encountered something beyond explanation, something that defied reason and logic. And they knew that they would never be the same again.